My mom used my gold credit card for what she said was an emergency, something to do with my dad's health. But 3 days later, pictures of my sister lounging at some fancy Hawaiian villa started surfacing. I asked her how she managed to afford that trip. She just smirked and said, "You're rich now, aren't you?" That same night, at her birthday party, she played a clip from a private conversation I'd forgotten we even had. She twisted my words into a punchline, and the whole room laughed. I didn't say anything, just stood there. The next morning, her iCloud slipped up and automatically shared 67 files with our entire family. At 6:42 in the morning, my phone rang. It was my mom. She sounded out of breath, like she'd sprinted to the phone. "It's your dad," she gasped. "He collapsed." She said the doctors were running tests, that there wasn't time to wait or think. I was already on my feet, still in pajamas, one sock on and one off, heart pounding louder than the ticking wall clock. Then came the sentence that hit me in a way I didn't expect. "I used your gold card," she admitted. "We didn't have time to ask." Something in my chest went tight. I didn't even hesitate. "Of course," I told her. "Whatever he needs." I sat down on the edge of the bed, still clutching the phone, my fingers cold. That card was supposed to be for emergencies. Real emergencies. No spending cap. No shared access. It was just for backup, just in case. But I didn't push back. I never did, not with them. That all happened on a Monday. By Thursday, my sister was living it up in Hawaii. I knew because the photos started showing up like bug bites, one after another. First it was a boomerang video of a champagne toast by an infinity pool. Then came a shot of her wrapped in a silk robe, coral-painted toes resting on a balcony rail, staring out at the ocean. The caption read, "Villa Dreams. Soft life." And instead of getting mad, I just felt that old, dull sting. The kind you get when you realize, once again, you weren't even part of the story. I kept staring at the screen until everything blurred. When I texted her, I didn't accuse her of anything. I wasn't even upset. Just asked, "How'd you swing this?" She replied almost instantly, "You're rich now, right?" That was it. 5 words and a kiss emoji. Like this was our little inside joke. I never wrote back. That night, despite everything, I still showed up to her birthday. Because that's what I always did. She wore a glittery jumpsuit that shimmered under the club lights. Her boyfriend DJ'd the first hour. One of her friends let out a scream every time the beat dropped. I stayed close to the cake table, sipping warm Prosecco and watching from the sidelines, my usual post. Then she grabbed the mic and said, "I've got a little surprise." The room went quiet. You could feel it, that expectant hush spreading through the crowd like mist. Then she hit play on a video. It was me. My voice. A recording from a private conversation we had 2 months ago, something I'd almost forgotten. I was exhausted in that clip. Vulnerable. Talking about how I often felt invisible, how I just wanted to be chosen without having to give something in return. She recorded it. She played it. Then she laughed. "Drama King energy," she said. The crowd followed suit and burst out laughing. I stood still. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I didn't flinch or speak. I'd learned a long time ago that sometimes silence can cut sharper than any loud reaction. They figured that was it. That I'd go home, keep my head down, let it go like I always did. But the next morning, something shifted. For years, I stayed quiet, hoping it might earn me love or even basic respect. But silence had only turned me invisible. Then came the glitch. Her iCloud auto-shared 67 files with every synced contact in her phone, which meant our mom, our aunts, our cousins, and me. The whole family got them. Screenshots. Voice notes. Drafts of texts she never sent. Notes meant for her eyes only. Every layer of her mask dropped all at once. And for the first time, I wasn't the one exposed. The stuff in there wasn't just embarrassing, it was damaging. Reading how they joked about me behind my back didn't hurt the way it used to. It just made everything crystal clear. Group chats I'd never been in. Conversations where I was the punchline. There was one message from my mom about a family reunion I'd offered to host. She'd written, "Let's keep it small, just us." Then there were voice memos from my sister mocking the way I texted, the work I did, even the sound of my voice. She had saved everything under a folder she named Golden Boy Meltdowns. In one note, she actually joked about how easy it was to manipulate me. Said she was training me like a credit Labrador. Swipe when needed, vanish when done. I wasn't sure which was worse, that she wrote it, or that no one ever told her to stop. By 10 a.m., the files had already spread. They'd auto-uploaded to a shared album we all forgot was still active, the one we'd used for Grandma's slideshow. Everyone saw them. Aunt Sherry texted just one word, "Wow." Uncle Tom replied, "Is this real?" Not a soul came to her defense. But no one really stood up for me either. I didn't say anything. Just made my coffee, ate my toast, fed the cat. Then I went and dug out my old external hard drive, the one I hadn't touched since last year. It powered on like it had been waiting for this moment. Inside were folders filled with proof, every payment, every transfer, every debt I'd quietly forgiven. I started sorting through it all. 5 years ago, I cleared the balance on our parents' second mortgage. They'd called it a bump in the road when Dad's business tanked. Mom got emotional on the phone, just enough to make it convincing. I wired over $42,000. No strings. No paperwork. Not even a thank you. Just a picture a week later of their brand new living room set with the caption, "Fresh Start." 3 years ago, my sister called crying at midnight. Her tuition check had bounced. "If I don't cover this by morning, I'm out," she sobbed. I wired $18,000. She changed majors the next semester and never finished college. 2 years back, they pitched me Dad's new dream, a boutique fitness and wine lounge. I said no. They guilt-tripped me. Mom said, "It's just money. You have more than us." I caved. Another $25,000 gone. And just last month, that gold card. I hadn't even looked at the statement, not until that morning. The total? $8,762.47. The description? Kona Grand Lux Villas. A 5-night stay in paradise, complete with champagne on arrival. It wasn't a hospital. No doctor's office. No lab tests. It was a villa. I closed the browser tab. My hands were trembling, but my jaw held firm. They hadn't just taken advantage of me, they'd carefully built their lives around my silence. And the thing is, it didn't start that way. Back when I was younger, I really thought being dependable meant something. I was the oldest, the one who fixed things. The responsible one. The so-called good son. When my sister crashed her car in high school, I was the one who showed up at the impound lot to sort it out. When she was failing biology, I stayed up late writing her makeup essays. And when Mom used to say, "You're so strong," I thought that was praise. I didn't realize it was just a way to shift the weight onto my shoulders. Year after year, they gave me more to carry, and I did it without protest. Quietly. Because someone had to. Because I thought love meant stepping in when nobody else would. But what I've come to understand is, love and servitude aren't the same thing. One Thanksgiving comes to mind. I paid for the whole thing. Groceries, catering, even the table decor. My sister showed up late wearing a designer coat, handed Mom a candle, and got a whole toast in her honor, to our brightest light. They called me steady, reliable. Nobody ever raises a glass to the rock. And the worst part? I never asked to be repaid. I never even asked to be acknowledged. All I ever wanted was not to be laughed at. Not to be erased. But even that was apparently too much. I remember being 14 and overhearing my mom on the phone with her sister. She said, "He's not like Sierra. He's safe. You don't need to worry about him." That was the foundation they built everything on. They knew I wouldn't push back. That I wouldn't yell, wouldn't cut anyone off, wouldn't make a scene. I was the net they fell into, every time, because I never let anyone fall. Until I did. That morning, as the group chat stayed silent and the text messages kept pouring in, something inside me just clicked. I wasn't mad. I was finished. It's strange how peaceful clarity can feel. Letting go didn't feel like a decision. It felt like waking up. So I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. His name is Devin Hart. We met 5 years ago when I helped him put together a pitch deck for a startup he was launching. He told me back then that he owed me one. I decided it was time to cash that in. I need to track a pattern, I said. Family. Finances. Maybe even fraud. He didn't even blink. Send me everything. So I did. Bank records. Credit pulls. Text exchanges. Even old email threads I'd buried in archive folders years ago. Devin went through them like he was dissecting a case file. 2 days later, he called me. It's worse than you think, he said. Turns out, there was activity on a joint account I'd never agreed to. A credit line in my name, opened and closed without my knowledge. And a signature that wasn't mine. The handwriting looked oddly familiar. Devin compared it to a birthday card my sister had once written. We had it checked out professionally. The expert confirmed it, forgery. Devin went quiet for a moment. This crosses a legal line, he finally said. He helped me file a formal complaint with the credit bureau. We flagged everything. Then he wrote up a letter. After a pause, he asked the question I hadn't dared ask myself. Do you want to press charges? I didn't answer. At least not yet. Instead, I drove out to the storage unit I'd rented the winter before. I'd kept everything there, hard copies, receipts, even the graduation card from my sister that said, "You saved me." At the bottom of one box was a flash drive I didn't remember putting there. I plugged it in. It held a voicemail, one my mom had left accidentally 2 years ago. She was talking to someone, probably her sister again. Her voice was cold, blunt. Honestly, we don't include him in everything. He's got his own life. He doesn't need connection the way Sierra does. I hit play again. He doesn't need connection. She didn't whisper it. She meant it. She believed it. I sent the recording to Devin. The next morning, we met up downtown, just a block from the notary's office. I've got something for you, he said, sliding a thick envelope across the table. Inside was a full report, notarized documents, a chronological breakdown of every financial transfer, and an official affidavit from the handwriting analyst. At the bottom, a formal petition for repayment, itemized, signed, and stamped. I didn't hesitate. I signed it. That signature wasn't about getting the money back. It was the first time I chose me, and did it without apologizing for it. I'm delivering this myself, I told him. Devin raised his eyebrows. You sure? They cut me out of everything, I said. It's time I reminded them who paid for the ink. That evening, I checked my phone and saw a new photo my sister had posted. She was back on another beach, this time in Dulu. The caption read, "Healers and Sunsets. Soft season continues." I messaged her. We need to talk. She replied instantly. But, I'll come to you, I typed. She sent me the address of the villa. I drove over with the envelope in hand. That's all I brought. She opened the door in a linen robe, smirking like this was all some kind of performance. You really came all the way here just to lecture me? I didn't say a word. I handed her the envelope. She flipped it open, skimmed the first page. I watched her expression shift, confusion first, then panic, then fury. What is this? She snapped. Proof, I said. Of everything. So now you're threatening me? She asked, stepping closer. No, I replied calmly. I'm just letting you know I'm not disappearing this time. Behind her, I saw the shopping bags, a whole stack of them. Tags still dangling. A shiny new watch on her wrist. She was living in luxury, in the very world I had funded, and didn't even realize the walls were starting to crack. You wouldn't really go through with this, she said, her voice sharp. I already have. The next day, Devin sent the full file. To her. To my parents. Straight into the family group chat. By noon, 3 phone numbers had blocked me. One rang. It was my dad. He didn't sound furious. He sounded rattled. We didn't mean to hurt you, he said. It just got out of control. I know, I told him. But even snowballs do damage when they roll far enough. He asked if it was too late to handle things quietly. It was possible, I said. But that window closed at the villa. They tried to stall, all of them. My sister, my parents. The second Devin served the official complaint, their entire tone flipped like a switch. Gone were the smirks, the dismissive edge in my sister's voice, the condescension laced through my dad's emails. Now it was panic dressed up as sweetness. Let's sit down and talk, my mom wrote. This doesn't have to get ugly. Ugly? You forged my signature and spent my money behind my back. All I did was stop pretending not to notice. The legal process started quietly but moved fast. Devin had pulled every thread until the whole thing unraveled. That forged loan? $15,000, opened during the pandemic, never repaid. The villa? Coded as a medical expense. 2 years of tax write-offs filed under my name. It wasn't just betrayal. It was fraud. And now it was official. I filed a civil suit for $96,000 in damages. They had 30 days to respond. They lasted 4. On the 5th day, Devin forwarded me an email from a new lawyer, not theirs, mine. It was a settlement offer. Desperate. Full of formal language that boiled down to one thing. Please don't take this public. They offered to repay the money, naturally. But that wasn't what I wanted, not anymore. I wanted the truth. So I rejected it. Devin updated the claim, full restitution, legal fees, and a notarized statement from each of them, acknowledging the misuse of my funds and the deliberate decision to keep me out. No loopholes. No rewording down the line. They tried again. More money. A sealed agreement. I said no. Because silence was the thing they'd fed off for years. Every Thanksgiving I brought the food, the gifts, the wine, while they handed me leftover attention. Every birthday, I wired cash while they forgot I existed. I was the scaffolding holding everything up, sturdy, silent, unseen. But scaffolding doesn't stay forever. Eventually, it comes down. And when it does, so does the facade. By day 12, their lawyer called Devin again. What will it take to make him stop? Devin told him, he doesn't want revenge. He wants balance. He was wrong. I wanted them to feel the weight I'd carried for years. And they did. That week, the court froze their shared investment account, the same one my sister used to fund her so-called healing retreats. A lien hit my parents' second home. Their credit scores dropped by over 140 points. A background check for a business deal my father was pursuing flagged the civil case. His partner walked. Negotiations stopped. Begging began. Sierra sent me a voice message, 4 minutes long. She cried halfway through. I didn't know it got that bad, she said. I was just trying to survive. She was poolside in Maui when she said it. I didn't respond. My mom left a voicemail. That kind of forced softness that collapses under its own weight. We've always loved you. Things got messy, sure, but families go through things. Please, don't destroy everything. Everything. They still didn't see me as part of it. Just a fallback plan. A utility. A wallet with a pulse. I sent the message to Devin. He added it to the file. Then I made a move they never expected. I uploaded every document, screenshots, forged signatures, bank transfers, to a private server. I titled the folder for context. And I shared it with 8 people. A few cousins. Some aunts. One former family friend who once called me the quiet one in the background. No commentary. No introduction. Just the truth. I watched the read receipts roll in, one by one. By the next morning, the family group chat had imploded. Sherry left first. My cousin Miles renamed it from Fam Bam to, well, just an ellipsis. Someone kicked Sierra out. Then added her back. Then kicked her out again. I said nothing. The following week, Devin called. They're ready to settle, he said. Everything you asked. No pushback. No conditions. Even the written statements? I asked. They already sent drafts. I opened them. Each one was about a page long, dry, formal, but signed and notarized. They admitted it all. The misuse of funds, the forged signatures, the financial decisions made behind my back with money I had earned. At the bottom of my sister's statement, she'd scribbled a final line in her own handwriting. I didn't think you'd ever fight back. I didn't write anything in return. The next morning, the full settlement hit my account. I stared at the number, not with joy, but with something closer to disbelief. $96,000. It wasn't the money. It was proof. Proof that what happened had weight. That it was real. That I wasn't crazy. I didn't touch it. Instead, I opened a new account at a credit union. Different name variation, First name plus middle initial. Only I had access. Then I made one final stop. Not to their house. That place never felt like mine. I met Devin at the notary's office. We submitted a copy of the signed statements for permanent archive. These will stay on record, the clerk said, sealing the folder. Could have thought. Some truths deserve to live on paper. Once the money cleared, I did 3 things. I closed every joint account linked to my name. I froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. I changed my mailing address and activated transaction alerts. Devin confirmed. The civil case was resolved. Legally binding. No appeals. No renegotiation. In exchange for waiving criminal charges, I received full repayment, $96,000. Coverage of legal fees. 3 signed, notarized statements admitting to financial abuse, forgery, and deliberate exclusion. At the bottom of my sister's statement was one last handwritten line. I didn't think you'd go this far. And that was the point. I wasn't after revenge. What I wanted was simple boundaries. Real ones. Enforced just once, but strong enough to hold. The bank refunded that villa charge and flagged the transaction. My sister's card got frozen temporarily, and she lost access to her travel rewards account. Small consequences, but ones she noticed. Dad's side business lost a partner after the lawsuit showed up on a background check. He tried to spin the story, but they walked away. Mom standing in her charity circles took a hit too. I didn't push it, but I also didn't bother correcting the whispers. By week 6, they'd stopped messaging me altogether. The group chat stayed dead silent. Eventually, I left it too. Devin suggested moving my assets into a new account, something harder for family to trace. I did exactly that. Then I took a break from work. No dramatic quits. No public posts. Just space. I moved temporarily to a quiet town. Not to hide, but to reset. For the first time in years, I wasn't the fixer, the financier, the safety net. I had no favors to juggle, no crises to handle. I bought groceries without adding up what anyone else needed. I slept through whole nights. I stopped checking my phone after dinner. That was the biggest win. After 2 months, I started rebuilding. Not a new life, just one I actually owned. I began helping at a local bookstore. I offered to digitize their inventory. 3 mornings a week turned into something steady. No stress. No expectations. Just clean, simple tasks. Finite. One day, I found an old email draft titled "For When They Notice." It had links to every transfer I'd made for them. Screenshots. Dates. Context. I deleted it. They'd never need that file. Because even if they did notice now, I didn't care anymore. 3 months after the settlement, my dad sent one last message. I know it's too late, but we see it now. You gave more than we ever asked, and we kept asking anyway. I don't expect forgiveness, just wanted to say it. I didn't reply. Not out of spite, just because I'd found clarity. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. My sister tried calling once, no voicemail. I blocked the number. There was nothing left to explain. She shared a private clip of mine. Everyone laughed. She played a recording of my private confession. Then she flew off to a luxury villa on my money and laughed about it online. That doesn't get erased by time. It gets remembered. I went back through the photos she posted from Hawaii. One stood out, her on a balcony, smiling out at the ocean. That villa? Booked on my card. That robe she wore? I paid for it. That champagne tray? Mine too. That photo held more than a moment. It held the truth. And I had the receipts. Now I had something else. Space. No calls. No debts. No vague guilt weighing me down. 6 months later, I moved back to the city. Quietly. I told only Devin and 2 close friends. I signed a lease under my full name. Got a place with a window facing east. I furnished it slowly. Deliberately. Nothing borrowed. Nothing compromised. I built a life with no backdoor for people who only remembered me when things broke. I stopped sending gifts for birthdays. I stopped showing up for holidays. I didn't thank my mom when she sent a framed photo from years ago, one where I was cropped out, standing at the edge of the group. They never forgot me. They just never made room for me. Now I made my own space. For the first time, I wasn't begging to belong. I was choosing not to shrink anymore. And this time, nobody else holds the key.